Oh!
All right, we're on.
Ready, Phil?
We're on in 5, 4.
When the clock struck 6, it meant one thing for Ron Burgundy and his news team. Go time.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Motorboating with Mammeries Newsflash. This is Tanks for the Mammeries playing World of Warships in open beta test. And today we have another newsflash regarding the update 0.4.0.4. And we are going to be watching a replay I had in the Warspite while I go through the notes here, because I know you guys got bored last time with just sitting in the harbor. So here's what we've got, and there's a lot of information to get out to you guys today, so I hope you'll enjoy it. I will do my best to get it out quickly and intelligently. So first of all, in the upcoming patch, we are going to have the ships, the Tirpitz, the Bismarck, the Dresden, and the Hermelin. These have been added to the game client. They're for testing purposes only. You cannot buy them, nor can you earn them in port, or for gold, or for anything else. You may see them in the game if somebody has them. You might be able to fight against them. But, you know, if you don't have one, then you'll just have to wait to see it in the game it's in for testing purposes. So here's some details on them right now. The Bismarck is a Tier 8 battleship. Bismarck-class battleships were some of the strongest ships of their type at the beginning of World War II, and were the pride of the Kriegsmarine. They incorporated the signature strengths of German naval shipbuilding, advanced fire control systems, rugged hull, and substantial armor. Bismarck's famous march to the Atlantic in May 1941 proved that the one-on-one meeting between her could be lethal. Obviously, the Hood didn't survive that. The next one is the Tirpitz, which is also a Tier 8 battleship. Legendary German battleship Tirpitz haunted Allied forces from her commissioning in 1941 until her destruction in 1944. During that time, there were repeated efforts to sink her with aircraft and submarines. Her high speed and powerful artillery were complemented by the incredible survivability courtesy of her armor and compartmentalized layouts. The Tirpitz and the Bismarck are essentially the same ship. My guess is we're going to see the Bismarck as the premium and the Tirpitz as the regular line ship. The Hermelin will be a Tier 1 cruiser, and if I pronounced Hermelin wrong, I apologize. A large armored gunboat able to operate in the high seas. It was intended for colonial service. She would have been well armed and relatively fast for her class. Nothing more on that one. The Dresden is a Tier 2 cruiser, a typical early 20th century German cruiser. She could serve as a scout, a raider, or protect the fleet from enemy destroyers. Her guns were relatively weak, but she was well protected and quick for her time. Some other things that are coming along: they updated and corrected the texture for the ship model Marblehead, which is obviously an American Omaha class cruiser.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
Fixed a defect in lifting of the main caliber barrels on the ship Diana, which I haven't seen in game yet. Renamed ships Cincinnati, Palada, and Sakura, now Marblehead Lima, Diana Lima, and Tachibana Lima. So if you see them, that's what the names are going to be. As far as maps go, there was a fix in the map Two Brothers. There was an invisible barrier in square E5, so that's been removed. As far as interface changes are concerned for patch 4.0.4, fixed improper distribution of the consumable keys on R, T, and Y in the game, which I never noticed, but okay. So they fixed, there were some problems with RT and Y consumable use keys. Added consumable hydroacoustic search on the following ships: the Kuma, the Furutaka, the Phoenix, Omaha, Murmansk, Marblehead Lima, starting with the stock configuration. So when you have stock of either the Kuma, the Furutaka, the Phoenix, Omaha, Murmansk, Marblehead, or Marblehead Lima, in the stock configuration you will be able to use hydroacoustic search. Fixed lettering squares on the minimap in the loading screen not matching the tactical and minimap in battle. Fixed the display on the British Nation tab during the transition to the tech tree when the Warspite is chosen. I've never noticed that. Now the player gets the first tab on the list, which is the Japanese Nation tab. In other fixes on this upcoming patch, fixed an error which led in some cases to the game client crashing when entering the queue for battle. Fixed an error where the countdown screen before the battle, the ship models were cut off at the approach. Don't know what that is specifically. Fixed an error which led to the inability to recruit a commander for the ship when one of the ships was in battle. Okay. Never noticed that myself. Fixed a graphical artifact that led to the camera going underwater when in binocular mode on the Tachibana and Tachibana Lima. Since I don't have those, never noticed it. Okay, so we're going to get nailed by a shit ton of torpedoes right here. This was about an aerial torpedo drop as they could do, and I got smoked for 19,000, 30,000 damage, 20-something thousand damage. Anyway, I got fucked up. Right, moving on. For the North American server, we are currently in the North American forums. We are having a vote for mascot. If you go to the North American forums and look at the dev postings there, there is a poll taking place for choosing a mascot, and there was a shit ton of people. By the way, I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but when the main guns fire, the water actually ripples, which is pretty cool. See that? There you go. That's pretty cool. Anyway, in the forums, there was a poll taken, and a shit ton of different answers came up about what the North American server mascot should be for World of Warships. And it's been narrowed down to the Kraken, a tugboat, Warship or Ram, Pelican, Shipcat, or Shark. None of the anime characters made it. So, anyway, the choices, if you were on the North American server, you can vote for the Kraken, a tugboat, Warship or Ram, a Pelican, a Shipcat, which is my choice, and Shark. So those are the choices. And what's going to happen is these ideas have been turned over to the concept artists at Wargaming, and they're going to draw them all up, and then we'll take a look at them again and go from there. So anybody, if you have the opportunity to participate, suggest you go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to move on to a series of questions that came in from the EU server and that were answered by the Russian developers. So these questions were asked in the early part of July through about July 23rd. And some of them are pretty good questions. These aren't all of the ones that I was able to come up with, but this is what I've got. I got about 2 pages worth. First thing is somebody was asking about the skill trees and things like that, and the answer came back that this is from the European server. The skill trees will be periodic. The skill trees will be periodic. God Almighty, periodically expanded and reworked going forward. Maybe even a dedicated class skill tree for each class of ships. Training room replays. Well, this is 2 questions. Will we be able to enable training rooms and replays? The answer from the EU server was both will come back when they're done with the UIs. In the meantime, you can use the modded replay function, which, you know, I use. Next question was, can you give us any information on the possible timescales for Royal Navy tree or non-premium Royal Navy ships making it into World of Warships? The answer from the EU community manager was, oh, look at that. That was kind of a neat clip. Can you give us information on the timescale of Royal Navy ships making it into the game? And the answer was late next year if we're lucky. Again, late next year if we're lucky. Next question was, what are your plans for the USS Arizona BB-39? And Wargaming right now is thinking that the Arizona will be a premium battleship. Will it be possible to manually control anti-aircraft guns? And the answer is no. It will not be possible to manually control anti-aircraft guns. You can designate a target by clicking control and then moving your mouse key up to where the target is that you want to hit. I'm going to eat one of these torpedoes right here. Right in the ass. But that's okay. By the way, spoiler alert, I am going to survive this battle. So, Arizona will probably be a premium. We will not be able to control any aircraft guns. Why are we not allowed to aim at each one of our turrets at a different target? Would be nice to be able to fight someone in the front of your ships while you're being chased. Because the UI for that would be too confusing, in our opinion, is the answer from the European community folks. Next question was, there was not even one completed aircraft carrier for the German Kriegsmarine. Will the German tech tree get a pocket battleship as an alternative? Because there are some nice ships in that line with unusual armament combinations, i.e. 11-inch guns and torpedoes. The answer from the Europeans' wargaming staff was the German nation will see both carriers and pocket battleships. So the Germans will get a carrier on their tech tree, as well as the pocket battleships. The next question was shore targets. Will there be shore targets? And the answer from Wargaming was, we're actually working on shore targets right now, but our initial tests are proving to be very boring. We're now thinking about how to make them work within a battle mode. And again, I think that's going to be shore defense, port defense, where one team of ships is defending a target and the other is assaulting. And in addition to the ships defending, there will also be harbor gun emplacements, things like that. That's one of the things out there. There's also, as I mentioned in another video, the convoy gameplay, which is being reviewed right now. The next thing was, will the HMS Hood have her submerged bow torpedo tubes? The answer was from the Wargaming staff, I can't answer that at this time. If we decide that those tubes can add to the ship's gameplay without causing issues, we might add them. There is some talk out there, folks, about some of the battleships having torpedo tubes. I know that the Tirpitz and the Bismarck both had torpedo tubes. The Hood had torpedo tubes, and there are a number of other battleships, the American line, Japanese line, and British line, that had torpedo tubes. There is testing going on with those battleships having torpedo tubes. Whether or not those make it in the game, your guess is as good as mine. Now, here are the Russian developer question and answer session. The Russians were answering these between the 15th and 23rd of July. And the questions came just randomly in from people on the Russian server. And it was translated, thank you very much, from Fitlord42. Fitlord42 from Reddit was able to translate into English the developers' questions and answers. So thank you very much. All credit to him for doing this. The Kitakami is not going to be back in the game. That could change. And again, guys, all of these are subject to change. Caveat, all of the answers that I read to you from questions that were posed by the public on the Russian forums as being subject to change. Same with the European stuff. But right now it says the Kitakami is not going to be in the game. Ricochets from water are not planned. So if you fire a shell and it skips across the surface and whacks into an enemy ship, that is not planned. Not going to happen. Secondaries only fire when the entire enemy ship is visible. If the target is partially obscured by an island, they will not fire. Penetration of HE shells is always equal to 1/6 of their diameter. Limits for aircraft ceilings aren't planned, i.e. they will still be able to fly across any terrain. So there's no mountain high enough to stop an airplane from being able to fly over, and I tend to agree with that. Let's go back, though. The penetration of HE shells is always equal to 1/6 of the diameter, and I don't know what, you know, if there's any offset for armor for that, but anyway, that's something you guys should pay attention to. No plans to limit the number of shells or torpedoes each ship carries. So, folks that spam torpedoes and destroyers like the Kitakami, or I'm sorry, like the Umikaze and some of those lower tier destroyers, guys, hate it for you, but there will be no limit for the number of torpedoes you can carry or the number of shells that can be fired. No ability to individually control turrets. Sorry, that will not be coming. Weather effects, storms, rough seas are being planned. However, they will not be implemented anytime soon. We've talked about this before. It's an issue with the quality of enemies. Freudian slip. It's an issue with the quality of people's computers. There's plenty of folks out there on the Russian server and the EU server, and even here in North America, frankly, and all the servers, all of them. People play with, you know, an Etch-a-Sketch, and so there's a very fine balance developers are trying to determine between good graphical gameplay and modes and features in the game that will still allow people with an Etch-a-Sketch to be able to play a decent game of World of Warships. So rough seas and things like that would be graphically very intensive, and would cause trouble for people with lesser computers. So that's an issue that they will be working on, but it's not coming anytime soon. Frankly, I'd rather have all the tech trees filled out before I got storms and waves. Moving on. Dispersion accuracy buff at close distances for BBs. No dispersion changes are planned for the medium and long terms. It works as intended. If you don't like that, play cruisers. Smoke ability will be buffed for some U.S. Navy destroyers along with artillery for some of them. So don't know when that's coming. Don't know if it's in this next patch as a silent update or not. Don't know. But apparently there will be smoke ability being buffed for U.S. Navy destroyers as well as artillery for some of them. Current mechanics of ramming don't account for the place of the collision. Only relative speed and mass matters. Okay, so current mechanics for ramming do not account for the place of the collision. Only the relative speed and mass. So whether you hit a guy in the bow, the stern, or right in the middle, the only thing that makes a difference is the speed of your ship and the mass of your ship. Cleveland AA will be nerfed again. Everybody who's driving a Cleveland who loves the anti-aircraft fire but feels like it got totally whacked in the last patch 4.0.3, it is going to be nerfed again. Don't know what, don't know how much, don't know when, but that's the word. Imperial Japanese Navy CVs are currently a bit OP, especially in the mid-tiers, and they will be nerfed. Strike loadouts might be changed. So there might be some changes to Japanese squadron loadouts. The mid-tier Japanese carriers are a bit OP. Not acquiring the target with X while firing main guns increases dispersion, i.e. at max range without target acquisition, the horizontal dispersion is greater than the value displayed in the port. So if I am shooting at a target that does not have the target marker over it, the dispersion gets even worse than the maximum dispersion shown in the stats in port. All AP shells are capable of damaging the target while after underwater travel. No special plans for IJN shells custom type 91. No plans to give AP shells penetration below waterline and ability to flood. So you can strike a ship below the waterline with AP shells. If you land very close in front of them, it will go through the water and then penetrate the ship. There is no plans for special Japanese shells. That could change because they're going to be premium shells. No plans to give ability AP shells penetrate below the waterline, the ability to flood. The flag storage limit, a lot of people have been asking about how many flags can you have. It's currently set to 100,000, so if you got 100,000 flags, send me a screenplay. Because I'd really love to see it. I mean, that's a whole bunch of flags there. Last issue I had, or last answer I had for a question that was asked was, no changes to fires are planned. It works as intended. So that is the news flash update. Thank you very much for paying attention, for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Motorboating with Mammeries playing World of Warships Open Beta Test. Thanks very much, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Have a great day.